Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Jonny Mozza's Lessons in Confidence, and today I want to talk to you a little bit around childhood and where we all come from and how that is kind of the thing that makes us who we are today. So no matter how old you are, how young you are, even if you are still a teenager or even a child if you are, I'm not really sure why you're watching these, I probably find them a little bit boring to be honest, but you know, either way, I thought I could try and tell you a couple stories from my own childhood and use that as a way of inspiring you to, you know, remember where you come from and use that to help you in the present day to continue to go out there, because when we're kids, we've got so much energy and we're doing so much. You know, when you see a kid and they're like this everywhere, they're running everywhere they go, right? And you kind of look at them and you think, God, I wish I had the energy to, you know, just do that. I mean, I got a little bit exhausted just climbing them set of stairs, you know, carrying this camera around and all that. And it's like, I'm not even particularly old. So it's kind of, I thought I'd tell a couple stories. So the first one is, this is the Cuckoo Park in near Hanwell Community Centre. And I used to come here with one of my best friends, and we would come here every weekend. We used to go to his nan's house first, and his nan's neighbour, I think they were a Polish family, and they had an older lad who was about 17, we were about 13, and then they had a younger lad who was about 11 or 10 or something like that. And we used to meet up with them, and we'd have a bit of a game of kickabout, and then we would you know, come down here and we'd bring a football sometimes, and we would just go into that football, basketball court thing there, and we would just see if there's anyone that's playing a game and just sort of ask if we can join in, really. You go up there and you might see sort of 4 or 5 other kids sort of having a kickabout or playing a bit of basketball. You kind of go up to them and go, hey, can we join in? And they always would pretty much say yes, because they want the numbers, they want more people actually playing the game. So you would end up with about 9, 10 kids, all from different sort of walks of life, different circles, all coming together to play this game. And it was always so much fun. We used to play like penalties, we used to play that game. It's not 5-a-side, but it's kind of like 3-a-side, but you only use one of the goals. And I think it was like every time you score a goal, you become the goalie or something like that. It was some form of some weird form of football where you kind of take it in an odd direction, and it was kind of like an elimination sort of thing. So that was always really fun. And then further along, there's a bigger football pitch that would be good for like proper 5-a-sides, you know. And I tended to be in goal because you know, long arms and stuff, and quite tall, so I tended to be in the goal. But it was always so much fun getting out and actually having a kickabout and that kind of thing. And a really great memory. We used to go to his nan's house, and this guy actually got me into Yu-Gi-Oh! He started getting into Yu-Gi-Oh! and he tried to talk to me about it. And at first I didn't really understand it, so he split his deck into 2, and then we just had a game on his nan's driveway. And it was the middle of summer, so the cards didn't like fly around everywhere. It wasn't windy or anything like that, and we just had a great game. And I fell in love with Yu-Gi-Oh! Doing that, and we started playing it online. There was this Yu-Gi-Oh! Website where it recreated the exact same rules of Yu-Gi-Oh! And you could kind of play it online as well, so we could be at our own houses and we could just play Yu-Gi-Oh! On this. You had Skype, and we would always Skype each other. We used to actually get the landline, and we used to, you know, phone over the landline so we could play like Modern Warfare 2 or whatever, and we would just be on the landline. And then our parents sort of came up to us and like, you need to stop doing that because you're costing us a lot of money. So we figured out Skype, and we figured out how to get that set up. And from there, we just played all sorts of different games. We played this game on Minecraft. It was basically, you know how the Hunger Games came out? So they came out of this thing called the survival games, and it was basically just the Hunger Games, but in Minecraft. And we used to play that an awful lot. There were all these really fun maps. There was this one that was, I think it was just called Survival Games 4. And it was this little town that started off in this kind of crater-looking thing, and that's where the start of the game was, and you'd have 12 people all in a big circle, and you have to wait in a lobby and that kind of thing, and you wait a little bit for a free game to pop up. And we would be on the server page of the Minecraft thing, and we kind of be like, type in now, and then we would type that in, and then we would get it done. And then sometimes you would get called to dinner while you're in the waiting lobby and there's like 6 minutes left. So you would hurry down and you would like quaff your food as fast as possible and then sprint back up, sometimes with only 20 seconds left. And and your friend is there kind of like, oh God, come on. And then you would get on just at the last second and you would start playing the game. We were all right at it, actually. We tended to get to the finals quite a lot. There was this one time, this big YouTuber called Bajan Canadian, right, who was this kind of Minecraft Let's Player YouTuber kind of thing, right? And there was one time where he was in the server and I was like, dude, that's one of the biggest guys ever. We have to let him kill us. And he was like, no, we gotta win. If we beat him, that's gonna look so cool. And I was like to him, yeah, but if we beat him, he's not going to release the video, is he? So there's a video out there somewhere where he comes along and he kills us, and like he kills my friend first in quite a big, intense battle, and we're running away and kills him. I turn around like, no, and then I start running away, and I hope that I can at least get away from this situation, get away from him, and then I can be in the finals and I can let him beat me in the finals. But no, I ended up falling down a hole, and I tried to get back up the hole rather than quite stupidly trying to run in the opposite direction. I just tried to climb up again. And he jumped down and immediately killed me. And the way that the game kind of worked was you had to go around and you just found chests with various swords and stuff and bits of armor. So they were really good at the game, these YouTubers. So they tended to get like the highest diamond armor and like diamond bloody swords and all that sort of stuff. And then they would kill everyone that they could kind of find. It was a hell of a lot of fun, that game. We used to play it every single day for honest to God, for so long. And then sometimes we would do like Call of Duty. If you're around the same age as me, you will know that if you went to high school in like 2009, 2010, 2011, every single person was playing Call of Duty. Every boy at least was playing Call of Duty. And it would be, once you got home, you would get onto PSN, or I was PlayStation kid, but if you had Xbox, you would get onto Xbox Live, and all your friends would be on there, and you would all get on the voice thing, and you would start, you'd have like 1v1s, you'd do team deathmatch and that kind of thing in this little server that someone had set up, and it would always be so much fun to, I wasn't very good at Call of Duty, so I tended to get my ass handed to me quite a lot. But, that's just one aspect, and I feel like children nowadays put a lot of their time into the online world, and that's kind of the assumption about kids these days, is they're always just on their computers and stuff. And that's not necessarily the case. I talk to my niece and my nephew, and they're going out and seeing their friends and all that kind of stuff, the same way that people were, back before my time. And it's not like, the internet certainly didn't replace certain aspects of meeting up in person, but, it's not like it completely stopped and no one ever goes out anymore at all. A good example is coming here and playing football and all that sort of stuff with people. We used to go down to the skate park, which is a further way down there. And I couldn't skate, so I brought a scooter instead. And one time we came to this very park, and I don't remember the context of it, but we were in year 8, right? And we started getting chased by all these year 6s. There were like 20 year 6s, and they were all hounding us down. And they would have like ganged up on us. That hypothetical is like, can you kill 100 5-year-olds in a fight? And it's like, I found out that day that you absolutely cannot, because it's a swarm. It is an actual swarm. So we ended up running away, and I threw my scooter back to them as like a way of like fending them off. Like, get away from me, get away. I was like swinging the thing all over the place, just trying to make sure that they didn't actually catch up to me. There was another time when we used to get bicycles. We got our bicycles, and we used to go around town cycling and stuff. And there's this big hill that's just behind the camera. And we'd get to the top of the hill, and we would speed down this hill as fast as possible. And we used to go to Sainsbury's, because if you go to Sainsbury's, it's not like the corner shops. You can get like chocolate and crisps and Coca-Cola so much cheaper, right? And when I discovered that, I was telling all my friends, like, dude, if you just go a bit further, you can find this shop where everything is so cheap and you get everything in huge bulk. And everyone was kind of like, oh wow. So we went there and we got a Diet Cola for 17 pence. And it was in my jacket pocket, a big bottle in my pocket. And I was riding down this hill, and it fell out of my pocket, right? And I'm going down the hill, and I'm kind of kicking it along, desperately trying to keep it within my clutches, so that when I got to the bottom of the hill, I managed to keep it alongside for probably a 100 meter drop down this hill, and got to the bottom, and I I was like, yeah, I've actually managed to get this Coca-Cola down here. And I opened it and it exploded in my face. Boosh, like that. And when it finished, there was about, say you got the bottle this high, there was about this much left. And we each had a turn on it and it was incredibly flat. It was so flat. It was grim, man. It was really not fun. We used to have so much fun, you know, in high school, just going around, just like goofing off and just having a bit of fun and just like letting the days pass and making the most of them. And it's something that you don't necessarily do nearly as much as you sort of enter the adult world. People are more apt to rather than go out and play, they want to meet up. And when you first become an adult, you're like 18, 19, the whole thing is like getting wasted and getting stoned and like all that kind of stuff. And that can be fun for a bit. But you soon start to realize that feels quite empty and you kind of want a return to the playing around days, because at least you got some good exercise out of it. I mean, I was a fairly fit lad, just, you know, running around all day. We would run everywhere, we would cycle everywhere, he would skate everywhere. I couldn't skate, so I took a scooter. And, you know, we would just go out and find weird little things. Like, we found Warren Farm when my friend introduced me to Warren Farm. We were about 13. Cut to Warren Farm. I've already cut to Warren Farm in previous videos because I love this place so much, and I'm going to tell you about how we first found it. So we first went with a few friends, and back then it was like this huge, it wasn't like this kind of place where dog walkers and sort of things would go now. This was before even QPR started to take it over. So you would have to go through this huge marsh, like there's brambles and all this kind of stuff, and there would be these big trenches and like falls and stuff, and you couldn't see your footing, you couldn't see where you were going. So it was a real struggle to actually get there, right? And when you would finally get to the abandoned buildings and stuff, what we would do is we would scout the entire area out, and we would kind of hide out in the corners and go like this. Yep, you can come down, yeah? And then you would do that. And first time we went there, we went on top of the big water tower sort of thing. And to get up it, you have to climb one building, and then you have to climb from that building onto another building, and then you have to drop down, then you have to climb a big ladder to actually get up there. And we got up there, and there was this like old police tape or something like that, and we tied it to like the post, and then we just threw it out, and it started flying, and it probably flew for about 200 meters. Honestly, so far away, and it looked so satisfying. And then we looked down, right, and there's two policemen that was walking straight towards us. We're like, oh shit, guys, get down. And we start making our way down, right? And we get down, and I have to jump, right? I jump down, and I'm struggling quite a lot, right? I'm really struggling, and I fall like that, right? And I think I broke my shin or something like, or broke my ankle or something like. I probably didn't break it. I probably sprained it, but I got caught, and one of my other friends got caught, and then my friend that showed us the place, he had long gone, but he actually came back, and the policeman said to us, you know what, it's all right. We used to come here and do the exact same thing that you were doing when we were your age, so don't worry about it. Just don't go up on the buildings because there's asbestos. And we were like, yeah, no worries. And we kind of went home, and I'm starting to really hobble like that, right? I tell them, just go on without me. Go on without, like we're in a war movie or something. I'm like, go on without me. Go, you can make it. Ah, like that, right? And it was about a half-hour walk to my house. And what I did is I was really thirsty. I only had 35 pence. And I went into every shop to try and find a bottle of water. I just needed some water, and I was walking along, stumbling along, kind of like, I need water. I need water. I was quite like deranged talking to myself. And I found a shop, and all I could find in every shop I went to was 35p bottle of Boost. So I ended up just getting the bottle of Boost, and it tasted disgusting. I always hated energy drinks. I always despised them, and I had to get one just to actually keep me going. And got back, and just about managed to get through the door before I collapsed onto the sofa. You know the Peter Griffin thing from Family Guy where he's like, ah, I'm trying to do it. Ah, like that, and he does it for a really long time. I was basically just doing that in real life. And then we went back there a few weeks later. We went there so many times, but another time I remember is we wanted to try and break into the buildings. This was before they were all opened up and you could kind of get into them quite easily, and before all the walls started falling down and all that, because it is really decrepit, that place. We went to my friend's house and got a toolbox off his dad, and we took it over there, and we were just like going through all the nuts and stuff and very like delicately trying to get them out, all of them like that. And yeah, we never actually managed to get in. We managed to peek our head through one of the doors, and we could just see darkness. We couldn't tell what the hell was going on in there, but it was so much fun going there and exploring. I would always say at the time that it felt like the game The Last of Us, a game that I'd never played, but a game that I kind of knew the vibe of. So it felt exactly like The Last of Us, like we were exploring this place that no one was meant to find, and there was no one else around for miles and miles and miles around. It was so great in that way. And now Warren Farm has become this brilliant, almost community centre, especially at least for me, where you go there and you find so many brilliant people that are so willing to have some fun conversations and just be friendly. And met so many fun people there, some of which might be involved in Jonny Mozza's Lessons in Confidence. And yeah, I'm trying to think of some other fun stories, because I know this video has been completely all over the place. We also used to set up games of five-a-side with some other of my high school friends, and we would go to the park and we would play five-a-side, and we'd be there and we'd have like 4, 5 or 6 games. We'd completely wear ourselves out. And you know, then you'd also be in school, and you'd be goofing off in school and stuff. Like, you go to ICT, right, which is internet computer technology, something like this. You go there and you learn like how to use Excel and Microsoft Word and PowerPoint and shit like that. And you get in there, and you would open up your PowerPoint on the one tab, and then you would open up like flash games, and they tend to be blocked. So you would type in unblocked flash games, and someone would always have found one website that they would spread the word to everyone else. And there was this game Tanks, which is kind of online LAN kind of thing, where you could play with other people that were attached to the same IP address. So the whole class would be playing Tanks, right? But, and this is important, is that the teacher would have access to this watching your monitors sort of thing on their master computer that they had. So you would have to wait for the teachers to sort of get up and kind of wander around the classroom. You couldn't do it while the teacher was sat at the desk. Or if you did, you would notice that, because their computer was also, their monitor was displayed on a big projector. So you would see the projector, you would see that they weren't looking at the other people's monitors at that particular time. So you would all go onto the other tab and you would start playing Tanks. You would start playing like stick figure battles and stuff like that. And that was really fun. And the teacher would always end up catching us in the end, and they would go, oh no, don't do that, don't be doing that. And then they would start handing out detentions to people, based on who they kept catching doing it and who they thought were like the ringleaders of this flash game mob. You would do all kinds of stuff like that, and then you'd be in class and people would just start talking. That's what they do. No one really pays attention in classes. During our lunch break, what we used to do, we used to go to the canteen and we used to get our food, and we would sit there and we'd talk about whatever we talk about, and then afterwards, me and and the rest of our table, we'd always sit at the exact same table with the exact same people, and then we would go out to somewhere out in the playground, and we would find a wall, and one of us would have brought a tennis ball, and we would play this game called Pat Ball. And if you haven't played it, I really recommend it. It's one of the best, childhood games I think I've ever played. And the way it works is you've got 5 people playing Pat Ball. You start off with all 5, and what you do, the first person swerves it and they throw it to the wall, bounce it. First it has to hit the floor before it hits the wall. If it hits the wall first, you're out. And if the ball bounces twice on the ground as it comes towards you, you're out. So first person whacks it to the wall, goes down, boom, boom, and then it comes back, boom, and then you hit it with your hand. So you can do a bit of an under one if you want to do like that, or you can really whack it and go for the full hardcore thing, right? And you would try and get everyone out. And then when it gets to the last 2 people, sometimes if you're at a place where there was 2 walls either side, what you could do, someone would scream, double wall, And that would mean that you could now hit both walls. So if ball's coming towards you, boom, boom, and then you would hit it and you would go boof, and it would go down that way. And you could really build up some momentum doing that. And the people that would end up getting to the finals quite a lot were really good at this, and you could end up watching them for like 5 minutes before one of them fumbled the ball. And that was such an amazing game. We used to play it every single day pretty much for about 3 years. There was this girl that started talking to me for some reason, and I basically just, I think I might have like, just brought her along to these games of patball, and you know, just sort of, she kind of watched, and she joined in sometimes. I don't think it was really her sort of cup of tea. And then, what else did we do? Oh, we used to play British Bulldog as well, which is a game that, you know, is quite infamously banned in a lot of schools in the UK. And the way British Bulldog works is, say you've got, it tends to be a larger game, you need like sort of 15 people to play it. So you'd have a big field, right? And you'd all start on one side, bar one person who is the catcher, the designated guy that catches people, right? And you all have to get to the other side of the field, and then you need to get back, right? So each time it's like a round. So you go this way and the catcher needs to try and catch people. So say the catcher catches one person on the first way over there. Now there's two catchers, the original catcher and the person that they caught. And when they're coming back, you need to try and not get caught. And each time you go back and forth, more people get caught, more people become the catcher, the harder it becomes to actually get there, especially when you're like the last person, because that means that everyone is chasing you down. And the reason that it's banned is because it can become quite violent, because it tends to be a thing where you jump and you tackle them kind of thing. So a lot of people got quite injured doing it. I know one kid broke his like his collarbone or his arm or something like that. Oh, that's the story. I broke my collarbone when I was 6. We were at a fireworks thing. It was the 5th of November, blah, 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 Guy Fawkes night and all that, right? And me and this teenager that I was hanging out with at the time, who was like a friend of my mum's, we were just like swinging around. He was swinging me around and around and around. And he accidentally let go. And I went flying, and I kind of rolled and rolled and rolled. And my arm really, really hurt. And I went to the hospital. And I remember the skeleton thing that they show you. And he said, you've broken your collarbone. I actually remember this. I remember doing that. I was like 6 years old. And to the guy that accidentally broke my collarbone, I've heard that he apparently feels really guilty about it. Don't worry about it, man. I'm glad it happened. I enjoyed it. It meant I got to avoid certain classes that I didn't like doing. I didn't like doing PE, so I got to cut out PE. And it was kind of fun having broken a bone. It felt like, at the time, it felt like I was a really weathered man. I've broken bones in my time. It was like that. So it was, yeah, don't worry about it at all. It was cool. Yeah, what else happened around that sort of time? You know, just childhood in general is just such an amazing time. And if you're still a child, treasure your childhood while it still lasts. And you know, don't try and compare your childhood to the childhoods of people that came before you or after you, or just other people's, because comparison is the thief of joy. And if you feel like your childhood isn't as interesting as other people's, then it's not particularly interesting. But your childhood is your childhood. It's interesting to you. It should be at least interesting to you. And the stories that you have are what led you to this point, and are what allow you to be the person that you are today. And if you weren't the person that if you didn't have those experiences, you wouldn't be the person that you are today. And I'm so glad that I got to have these experiences with all my friends, and it was such a lovely time. And you know, I love all my friends, and they're such cool guys. You know, ended up sort of not, you know, it's not like you fall out with them. You know, people just take different paths in life, and people end up moving away, and you know, sometimes you just end up not talking to people for a long time. But you know, that's kind of the way the cookie crumbles, I suppose. And that's, again, fine, because those experiences then transition into new experiences. Like, I've got this as my new experience, and doing all the filming and like working events as a camera operator and stuff like that. So things are still fun, and weird experiences still happen, you know, quirky little like events that you kind of go along. That's one reason I love filmmaking so much, is that you end up like laying down on someone's wardrobe like this, holding a boom pole, and you're like, how did I get into this situation? You know, that kind of thing. So it's fun to go through life having these weird experiences, and it's fun to go around and experience life to its fullest. So if you're still a kid and you're watching this, go out and text all your friends and say, let's meet up, let's have a game of five-a-side, let's play some pat ball, let's do whatever. Oh, that's another game we used to play. We used to play It. In where I come from, it's called It. Sometimes it's called Tag. I know Northerners call it something else. I can't quite remember what they call it. And I think in America it's called something else as well. And basically the game is, you've got one person who's It, and you have to go around and you have to touch someone else and go, you're It, right? And then sometimes you can do like group It. So it's similar to British Bulldog. If you It someone, now you're both It. Rather than in standard It, where if I go, you're It, now they're It, and I am one of the people that run away. I remember me and a few of my friends, we went to the park, a really big park where there's loads of great places to hide. And we had the guy who's It be on a bicycle, so it made it so much more intense, but we kind of realized that it was a bit dumb because he had to get off the bike to actually hit us. And because he didn't want to just like damage the bike, he would end up getting off like this. And then you would lay it down. And by that time, you're able to get away. What I tended to do in those situations is I would hide in a hedgerow and that kind of thing, and it was so intense, like this. Like that. So there's so many great playground games out there. There's so many great things you can do as a kid. And I'd like to set up a game of pat ball now. I'd like to set up a game of five-a-side or a game of It and play it again, because it was so much fun. And I don't think like the charm would be completely lost on, you know, older people playing it. Maybe it would look a bit weird to outsiders, but you know, why not? Why does it matter what others think of you? As long as you're having fun and you're not harming anyone else, then why worry about it? I think to wrap this up, I would like to say, you know, your childhood is absolutely what makes you, and your childhood was pretty interesting. Even if you feel like you had quite a dull childhood, there's little memories that you can't quite remember. You know, if you meet up with an old school friend and you start reminiscing and you start telling stories that you've forgotten about completely because they told you a story, and then it makes you remember a story, and you've got so many stories because your childhood was like, you know, the stuff that you're actually lucid about was like 13 years long. Obviously you're 18 for the duration of your childhood, but you don't really remember the first sort of 5 years, and if you do, it's not particularly interesting stuff. It'll be like little cartoons you used to watch, or like going, "Mommy, mommy," you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this. You know, if you're a parent, show this video to your kid, I suppose. No, they wouldn't be interested. Just give them some ideas for little playground games, you know, and put in the comments some playground games that you used to play as well. Because I'm sure there's games that I've forgotten about that we used to play, that if I sort of see someone else sort of talk about it, I go, oh yeah. Or there'll be games from other countries and other cultures that I have no idea about. And yeah, I think that's going to be it for now. Thank you so much for watching this quite sentimental, rambly video. And yeah, I'm going to close it out by going down the slide. I'm going to see if I can actually... I'm too big for this. I'm way too big for this. Do you know what? This is fucking pointless, this. I'm just going to go down the normal way. Take care. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Jonny Mozza's Lessons in Confidence, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about the folk filmmaking movement, which is for me a very inspirational movement of film that has really helped to make me figure out kind of my approach to film, and probably has helped an awful lot of other people. And today I would like to talk a little bit about it and some few various films that I've enjoyed from this movement in particular. So this movement kind of started in 2020 during the pandemic. What happened was a lot of people were suddenly stuck at home, and they had their equipment and they had, you know, the few people they were isolating with, and it kind of became this thing to just try and make something and not worry about perfecting it, because you didn't even have the opportunity to chase perfectionism with the pandemic. You couldn't make something that was absolutely perfect. You couldn't go out there and do everything in the absolute best way. You couldn't, because it was illegal to actually do that. So all you could do is make use of the resources that you had available to you. And so a lot of people got their start around 2020 and became quite, started to build up a bit of success doing this kind of thing, where they would just make a film. And these films were often made improvised or with very minimal script, with quite few people, maybe just one person behind the camera, just wearing lav mics, just like I am. And the whole film would play out in a very naturalistic and very human feeling way. And it was a nice way of tapping into a mode of film that doesn't get talked about nearly enough. And we've had movements before, like French New Wave was very naturalistic and very humanistic. And then we had the 90s indie movement that led to stuff like Clerks, for instance. And then you've got the sort of early 2000s, late 2000s, you had The Man from Earth, which was the first film that was released on torrent by its director. And if you find a copy of the film, you'll see it starts with him doing a bit of piece to camera, where he just sort of says that this is the world's biggest experiment in people just in honesty and people trying to be honest. So actually do buy that film, go out and buy it. You can pay whatever you want for it. It's there's no limit, I don't think. And that in turn led to the folk filmmaking movement, which is a very small and very scrappy form of filmmaking, where most of the films in that scene cost anywhere from $0 or pounds up to like maybe 500, maybe £1,000 here and there. Say if you wanted to get some cool props, or if you wanted a specific thing to happen that you couldn't have made happen otherwise, if you wanted to get a certain camera for a certain look, that kind of thing. The figurehead of this movement is a guy called Joel Haver, and he got his start about 10 years ago. He went to film school, and then he started making these skits and these various videos on YouTube, these short films. He made loads of them. He made one a week, and he did that for about 9 years. So he's got honestly hundreds and hundreds of these short films, so many little experiments, just trying different things out and doing it with his friends and with people that he loves. And this year he took a step away from actually making those short films, and he's dedicated himself to making 12 feature films in 12 months. So far he's on 6, and I'm very excited to see what he's going to do with the final 6, especially as he's not got very long left. So that's going to be a fun challenge, and it's going to be interesting to see what he does within that challenge and within those limitations. And I've seen 3 of them. The one that stuck out to me the most was a film called The Hero's Journey, aka The Caleb Johnson Story, brackets, I'm Caleb. And it's a film that's all about this guy who he's archiving his life quite obsessively, and he's always videoing himself, and he's always videoing the interactions that he has with other people. And he's living out of his car, and he's kind of just trying to get by and try and make enough money to feed himself and get petrol for the next set of days. And it's a fun little sort of film that just follows this one character from this one point of view. And I love films like that, where it just follows this one personality, and the film kind of lives and dies on that singular personality. And in this case, I think he really hit the ball out of the park with Caleb Johnston. He is such a cool character to watch. And he reminds me a little bit of myself and probably a lot of my friends as well. If you were raised to be a teenager sort of from 2009 to say 2014, that kind of era, you were very into like Black Ops and Halo and PlayStation and video games and maybe Minecraft and stuff like that. And it feels like Caleb Johnston is a representation of that kind of person, but they never grew up, and now they're 30 years old and they're still like that now. And you see how that kind of personality would alienate adults. And it's a really fun story to watch. I really recommend you watch it. I'm going to put a link in the description so that you can check that film out. It's on YouTube, and that's another thing about the folk filmmaking movement, is that all the films are free to watch on YouTube, and that's a big part of it. It's all about freedom of access and freedom to share this work for as many people to see as possible. It's about making films that people can see, rather than films that are locked behind a paywall or are locked away on someone's hard drive, or like behind a password on a Vimeo unlisted video, that kind of thing. As someone who does a fair bit of casting, and so I've had to cast probably like 100 or so actors in my life, and I've gone through many CVs, many show reels, and I've seen a bit in the show reel where it's like, oh, that looks like a really interesting film, and the name of the film will be in the bottom corner. And so I Google the name of it, and I can't find anything about it. Or I might find an IMDb page, and I can't watch the film. I can't even see a trailer or anything like that. And I wonder, well, why create? Why make stuff at that point if people can't see it? Why have so many people come together for this purpose of a vision if the vision is locked behind a paywall and is enclosed in a dark room where no one can see in or see out? And that's why I like the filmmaking movement, is that it encourages people to just do and to try, and even if they fail, there's wonder to be had in exploring that failure, because there's so many films out there that are really scrappy, that are filmed on phones, that are filmed with actors that don't know how to act, that are filmed, you know, with people that don't know how to frame a shot and all that kind of stuff. The sound is terrible and all these kind of things. But at the same time, they went out and they made it. They did that, and I think that in itself is a form of beauty, because you try that again and again and again, and you will get better and better as time goes on, as long as you keep pushing yourself to try new things and to keep experimenting and to learn from your past mistakes. And I think that's where the idea of doing these films quickly kind of comes in, rather than taking... A lot of these filmmakers are people that have that one project that they've been working on for a long time. A guy called Dan Lotz, he's another big proponent of the filmmaking scene. He also had his shot at the 12 features in 12 months thing. And he originally came into film with a feature film that he spent a long time making called The Long Con. And he ended up releasing it on YouTube, but it was meant to go to like film festivals and all this various stuff. And I don't think Dan Lotz, not to speak for him, but I don't think he says that that's one of his best films. I think he probably sees it as one of his lesser films. But the films that he made much faster after that, stuff like Chlorine or Sheep Theatre, are probably, not to speak for him, are much more dear to him. And they're the ones that ended up taking off, and they're the ones that people think of when they think of someone like Dan Lotz of 922 Films. And I've seen both The Long Con and I've seen Chlorine. I haven't seen Sheep Theatre. And yeah, Chlorine is a much better film than The Long Con. Even though The Long Con has better movements with the camera, it has slightly better sound in places, and it feels more well put together. But all that extra effort, I don't think resulted in a film that had a naturally better story and a better emotional resonance than Chlorine, which was something that was made in a much more scrappy, kind of fast way. And that's why I'm making this film, Jonny Mozza's Lessons in Confidence, because it is an experiment into trying things, bringing the fun back into filmmaking. I've done films where I've gotten the big set together and I've gotten everything together, and it feels like you start to take the fun out of it when you start to take it so seriously that you live and die by this singular project. And the stakes get raised, and it means that you're over analysing all the failures that can kind of come from it, and like, what happens if this doesn't take off? You've spent all this time and it's not going to take off. And I know I haven't finished Sheffield Psychedelic, but I think that Sheffield Psychedelic is going to be my Long Con. It's going to be that thing that I put all this effort into, and it was that stepping stone that allowed me to enter the filmmaking world with previous experience, and that I can learn from the lessons that I was taught doing that project. And it's, as I've been saying in all my videos, it's better to try and to fail than it is to never try at all. And so I want to recommend a couple other films from Joel Haver in particular. The Text, which is part of his Oscars, filming a film during the Oscars, which I think is so cool. It's such like punk filmmaking to me. It's like you've got the bourgeoisie of film, which is the Oscars, and they all sit around and they jerk themselves off over how brilliant they are, and like, ooh, Steven Spielberg did this, another magnum opus, and ooh, Martin Scorsese's done another 3.5 hour thing that's all well put together with all these massive stars and everything so slick and stylized and all that kind of stuff. And in the time it takes to sit and have that party and have those speeches where you're just talking about how brilliant you all are, you have there's opportunity to create. So you can create a film in 3 hours. And you can do it, and people have done it. There's every year for the past, I think, 4 years they've been doing this. They have gotten so many responses. They've gotten hundreds of films every single time. And I've not seen even close to even a small section of them. I've skipped through a fair few of them. and I've watched maybe 2, and they are fun. They are a fun experiment. I don't think that you can necessarily get a full holistic experience out of it. You can't get a true grandiose vision out of it. This is a chance to make smaller scale projects. This is a chance to really tap into certain feelings that can be quite hard to explain with lots of blocking and with lots of action and that kind of thing, with lots of time, because it's a nice chance to capture a singular moment and a singular thought process and a singular mentality, sorry. And it's a good opportunity to explore different facets of your own personality, your own worldview, and ideas that you don't maybe want to dedicate to, months and months or possibly years of your life to, but it's nice to dedicate a day to it and to know that you've done that and to have done that. And so next year I do plan to make a film in 3 hours during the Oscars, and I think that I would like to see more folk films, and I would like to see folk films start to really take off and start to become something that is part of the mainstream. I'd love for like a Christopher Nolan or Martin Scorsese or Quentin Tarantino type auteur figure to have their shot at making a film in 3 hours, or making a film in a week, or making a film with nothing, and just trying something for the fun of it and taking things back to basics. Because when you follow a band and they've started getting really into their big experiments, and then they do that one album where they just maybe it's a self-titled and they use it as just a chance to just strip everything back and go back to their roots. It's a nice chance to go back to your roots and try approaching that with the hindsight that you have developed from your various journeys, because you will have a different journey to another viewer of this video from another viewer, and it's such a nice way of expressing yourself, and that's what it's all about, really. That's why people make and create, and it's so that they can express themselves in various ways. That's why people make content, is so that they can express themselves, even if the first primary goal of them is to make money. If they're one of those that is just trying to make money, they would still like to express themselves, and they still try, and even if they're trying just a little bit or not enough. And so I think I would like to close this video off just by saying I love the passion that's coming from this community, and I love the way that people are coming together to try something new that the filmmakers of the past would sneer at and look at like that's a lesson in failure. Like when I went to media college, these are the kind of things that my teachers would have said, no, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that, it has to be done this way or this way and this way. And I don't think it necessarily does. And as long as you're breaking the rules for a reason, and you know why you're breaking the rules, and you've got a good vision of what you want to make, then doing things quickly can actually be better, because it means that you have more of an opportunity to get that singular moment down, rather than trying to sustain that vision for a long period of time, which you can't necessarily do, because your vision will change over time. If you make a film over the course of a year, you're inevitably going to see the film differently a year from now compared to when you first started. It's just the way that the dice is rolled, because that's the way that people go through life. They change, and things happen to them that change their worldview and their perspective on things. And if you're not doing that, then that's something you need to start doing, because if you are just stuck in that singular vision and that singular moment, then you're not growing as a person, and you need to always be growing as a person, and that's very important to do. And I think to sort of round this video off, go watch the Caleb Johnson story. It's very scrappy to look at first, and you might think, oh, it's a bit, amateur looking, but give it some time, and you'll really get sucked into that world. It's such a fun world with various characters. I'm not going to talk much more about it, because he's someone that likes to. I think you should go into it with very little knowledge about the film. And Joel Haver is someone who doesn't like making trailers. He doesn't like spoiling films before they're released. I'm kind of the opposite. I don't really mind spoiling stuff. I don't really get bothered by spoilers particularly, unless it's like you're about to sit down and watch a film, and then someone says there's a twist here, and then that twist is on your mind. But if someone told you there was a twist a few weeks ago, that's not a problem to me. So I'm a bit more spoilerific in that kind of way. I don't really mind spoilers. And so when the film comes out, it's not about the end goal. It's not about where the story leads. It's about the journey and you know, the little steps that you take along the way to get to that end goal and that end point. So life is about the journey, not about the destination, as they always say. And yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to discuss. I wanted to discuss the filmmaking movement and Joel Haver in particular, because he's a big inspiration of mine. He's someone that has really, I mean, in fact, I would sort of owe a lot of this channel to him and the way that he kind of does video. He's not about perfecting everything. He's not about getting everything done to a T and embracing the little imperfections. Before I would have done everything in my power to ensure that there weren't any perfections. There weren't any imperfections. And now I'm much more happy to allow those things to take root and to, you know, be part of the experience, because they are there. And if you're not, and if that little part, you know, if the camera jiggles and you go, oh, the camera jiggled, and you sort of think, oh, I'm not really into this anymore, then you probably weren't too into it to begin with. You weren't really enjoying it anyway. And if that didn't take you out of it, something else would have, that, you know, would have been part of the singular perfected vision. So, yeah. Don't worry so much about, you know, getting everything done exactly the way that you think it should be done, because if you try and chase that, then you'll end up doing very little. And it's better to do and to fail than it is to not do at all. So yeah, I think I'm going to close out the video with that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Do check out the Joel Haver films. Check out Doom Productions as well. They're another really good channel where they do a lot of filmmaking updates, and they have a really fun perspective on film. And check out another guy called The Don't Tell Show. He's been doing films since the late 90s, where and he always seems like he's having so much fun with it. If you see his old films, it really feels like, you know, teenagers that were going out and enjoying themselves making this. It felt like they had fun, and that's nice to see. And he's still going out and having fun now. Check out my friend John Henry Westhead. He's got a film coming out soon called Steve the Stammer's Missing Painting. Really, really fun film about this painter who's a bit of an insular type character, and about the journey of one of his paintings and where that painting goes. And that's a really great film. I really enjoyed working on it. It's so much fun. And it's not out yet. It's out sometime soon. I'll do a video about it once it comes out and you know, kind of advertise it a little bit. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this. Have a great rest of the day. Go out and just record something, or just make something little. Try something. Doesn't matter if it doesn't work, but at least you've made it. Take care. Bye-bye. Hey up everybody, my name is Joshua Morrison, director of Jonny Mozza, Lessons in Confidence, and today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about outside validation and how it can be an absolute curse upon your productivity and your mental well-being. So we all end up slightly comparing ourselves to other people. We always end up, you know, on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and you see, you know, your friends and your family and stuff, and like they're out having a blast and they're posting it all, and you're sort of thinking to yourself, you know, I'm just sat here, just not really getting up to much, just kind of just going along doing what I do. It feels kind of like, what's the point? But you know, you can get really lost in that comparison to other people, and it can really get you down. It can really make everything feel very overwhelming, because it looks like everyone else is so successful and you are a failure. But really, everyone else is just the same as you. Everyone else has their own worries and insecurities, and I think it's important to remember that, because for this video we're going to be talking about external validation and how if you come to rely on it, then you will end up worse for wear, shall we say. So recently I made a video on golf and why I dislike golf, and the video has it's done well in the numbers, but people find fault in my approach to the topic, and I like that. I like the fact that people don't agree with me, and there's you know, debate going on in the comment sections, and there's people that kind of go like, oh, this is an incredibly naive sort of take, and that kind of thing. And I don't seek out the approval of other people. I love getting all these really positive comments from people and sort of going, oh, you're an inspiration and all that. But it's not about that. It's not, for me at least, it's not something that I need to you know, fill up my motivation meter. Say you've got a motivation meter, right? And you've got other people that are saying, hey, good job, man. And then it goes like that. And he goes, wow, that was amazing. And he goes up a little bit more. And he goes, you are an inspiration to me. I've managed to get so much done thanks to you. Or like, oh, that's a nice one. It's nice to have those sort of things, and it is lovely to hear these comments from people, and it's a nice little feeling inside. But if you come to rely on that kind of feeling, then if it gets taken away, then you are going to be quite sad as a result of it, because you've come to rely on this external validation. And you can't just go out there into the world and expect other people to prop you up emotionally. You've got to go out there and do it yourself. You've got to be you've got to be your own person, and not worry so much about what others have to say on what you do and how you do it. Because if you kind of let other people get in the way, then you can end up just quite upset, really, just in general. And this is a video about avoiding that. So it is unavoidable, because you know we aren't all consistently on top. We all have dips, and we all have peaks, and we have valleys and peaks and valleys like that. And we all have outside situations that will cause turmoil within our own lives. So, you know, if you're going through some hard times, then the external validation of others is actually more valuable, because it helps you slightly more, and you see it as more valuable. That's what I mean. You see it as something that really helps you out a lot more. If you're feeling really depressed and someone comes along and says, oh, you're doing so well, that feels a lot better than if you're already doing really well and someone comes along and says, oh, you're doing really well. So you kind of go, oh, yeah, I kind of knew. And it, you know, as you kind of go through life, you will come into, you know, peaks and valleys, and sort of feel differently about other people's approval of yourself. When you are on top of everything, you are able to just sort of brush it all off and brush away all the negativity. But when you are kind of feeling down and you're right in the dumps, all of that stuff, if it's a valley like that and people are throwing like, hey, you suck, man, hey, that was terrible, that's all filling that valley, and it all gets on top of you, and you don't want to let that happen. How can you avoid that? Well, I think be kind to yourself is a very good start. Don't worry so much about your own failures, because we are all failures in various ways and forms. Nobody is perfect. Nobody goes through life waking up at 5 a.m. every day, doing everything perfectly, you know, ascending the ladder and is liked by all. You know, nobody's like that. Nobody is the absolute golden child that everybody loves. Everybody has their own flaws and failings, and things that they want to hide away, and things that they're embarrassed about. And that's part of human nature, and that's okay. It's okay to feel like that. And if you try and separate yourself from others in the sense that you see everyone else as being perfect, but you are a failure, that is going to make it so much harder for yourself to actually rise up to whatever challenge it might be that's coming up in your life. And it'll make it so much harder to claw your way through the logistics of your life. You know, getting a driving license, or getting a new job, or saving up for a mortgage, or trying to find a lover, and all that kind of stuff. If you let the opinions of others get to you, then you will paralyze yourself and be kind of unable to do much. And if you allow the opinions of others to dictate what it is you do, then you're not living for yourself, you're living for other people. And if you're just living for other people that you don't approve of, and they don't necessarily approve of you, then you're all just playing this game of chicken, where you're eventually just waiting to be caught out. And you don't need to suddenly become a success in order to avoid this. You just need to be confident in your own abilities and be confident in your own personality, because there's a brilliant personality inside of you somewhere. Even if you're an extremely introverted person, and whenever you try to talk to people, you feel like you can't, and you feel like you've got something that you really want to talk about, but you don't, because you're embarrassed about it, or you think that everyone's just going to tell you, shut the hell up. You know, they might, and if they do, then that's their problem, not yours. That just means that they're a knobhead, right? Just go out and try and do well by others and do well by yourself. And if you do that, then you will end up so much happier as a result, because you won't be so worried about the you know, the endless improvement of the self that we are all kind of trying to do. We're all trying to fix what we see as being wrong with us in various ways, and we all are trying to, like, oh, hang on, let me give you an example. Like when I was quite depressed and all that, right? I was a very quite closed off, quite mousy person, and I would go to hang out with my friends, and I would be sat there, kind of in the corner, just like, you know, stuck in my own head, and all my thoughts kind of going on. It's like, I'm all this and this and this, and I'm just remembering all the worst things about the world and about myself, whilst we're trying to have this fun conversation about various things, and then I'll occasionally chime in like, yeah. Oh yeah, do you remember when that, oh, I can't remember what it was. And then you can't remember what it is, and then you kind of sink. You get that sinking feeling socially. That ends up happening. And that was a really difficult thing to sort of overcome, because how do you be yourself? How do you be the truest version of yourself? That's something that's up to you to figure out. That's something for you to decide, because it's your decision, it's your life. Do you want to be someone that does this? Do you want to be someone that's much more comedic and jokey and like that? Or do you want to be a much more earnest person and say things kind of as you feel them, and be the person that people go to for those like heart-to-heart conversations? Or do you want to be the person that people go to for the laughs? And you can be both, and you can be in between, you can be something else entirely that I haven't even thought of, and it's completely up to you in terms of how you want to do that. But what you shouldn't do is be someone that seeks the approval of others, because if they don't approve of you, then your own self-worth is denigrated by your own subconscious and by your own brain, which will suddenly start to work against you. So you don't need the approval of others, because what other people think of you is completely fucking irrelevant. It doesn't matter whatsoever, right? If your boss hates you, right, then you're gonna have to figure something out. If your parents hate you and you're living at home, just try and, you know, keep the peace and just try and do as well as you can. But don't let their negativity towards you get you down, because we're all in this together at the end of the day, and it's better to realize that we're all failures in our own ways, and we've all got our own flaws, and we've all got things that are wrong with us, and we've all got problems, and we've all got things that we can improve on, and that's fine, that's okay. We're allowed to be like that. We're allowed to have these faults, and it's a good thing, because it's part of human nature. If we were all perfect specimens, wouldn't the world be so much less interesting? You know? Do you ever have some hardship, and then you come out of the hardship and you're kind of glad that you went through that? Or say you suddenly have to rush out for something that, like, completely unexpected. So now you're out and it's like, oh God, I'm so stressed out about this thing. And then you get back and you might have managed to get another little wee thing done. You might have, because you were passing the shop, now you can do the shopping that you were gonna have to go out and do anyway. So you kind of kill two birds in one stone. So you kind of come back and you're better off as a result of that hardship. So it's good to go along through life, taking the force that comes your way, taking that hurricane and just standing there and taking it, because that's the journey of life. That's the journey of you know, us. And yeah, I think that's going to be all from me. Thank you so much for watching this. Hope it's made you feel somewhat better. If you are like actually like, you know, clinically all depressed and that, you know, find a therapist or something, because and stop relying on these little fucking YouTube videos, because, you know, I do try to inspire, but I can't help with something like that. When problems get that large and overwhelming, you need specialist help. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this. Have a great rest of the day. Go talk to someone, and just, you know, if they kind of go, at a joke you made, you know, do take into account, like, was that joke actually funny? Or did that person just not have a sense of humor? And try and figure that out for yourself, and try and figure out the best version of you, because the only person that you need to seek approval from is yourself. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.